The world is standing on the edge of a blade. One misstep, one spark in the Middle East, could set fire to the entire planet. Are we witnessing the first tremors of World War III? This is Global War Insights, where we break down the future of global power, war, and strategy. For decades, the Middle East has been a theater of conflict, a powder keg of history, politics, and religion. Small wars, large wars, proxy battles stretching across continents. But the current storm is different. Borders are not just lines on a map, they are battlegrounds. Missiles fly across skies once thought safe. Satellites track movements, while cyber attacks strike unseen, hitting targets thousands of miles away. Every attack echoes far beyond the desert sands, reverberating through capitals, markets, and alliances across the world. At the heart of this unfolding drama are the major powers. Regional giants, driven by history and ambition, clash with global superpowers whose stakes in oil, trade, and influence are immense. Iran, Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Turkey maneuver carefully, each move calculated to gain advantage without triggering outright war. Meanwhile, the United States, Russia, and China watch closely, sometimes supplying allies, sometimes intervening indirectly, all with eyes on a global scale. It is a dangerous game, and hidden beneath the headlines are strategies most of the world will never see. Proxy wars designed to drain enemies, cyber operations that disrupt economies, and secret negotiations behind closed doors. Why now? Why is the Middle East so volatile in this moment? It is a convergence of history, ideology, and opportunity. Old grudges simmer, new alliances form, and technology makes conflicts faster and deadlier. Drones can strike in seconds. Missiles cross borders in minutes. Social media amplifies unrest. Economies that are fragile can collapse under the weight of war. And the political calculus is brutal. Every leader asks themselves, what is the cost of inaction? What is the cost of action? The world is no longer just a witness. Tensions in the Middle East have global consequences. Trade routes, energy supplies, and financial markets react instantly to every skirmish, every missile strike. Refugees flee in waves, destabilizing neighboring countries. Governments weigh intervention against political risk. And in every capital, intelligence agencies track, analyze, and plan, knowing that a single mistake could ignite a larger conflict. What could the next decade bring? By 2025, regional tensions could escalate further, potentially drawing major powers into direct confrontation. By 2030, the map of alliances may look drastically different. Nuclear-capable nations may find themselves in direct standoff. Wars fought with drones and cyber weapons could escalate faster than ever imagined. Cities may become battle zones. Economies may collapse. Millions could be displaced. And yet, diplomacy still has a window. Carefully measured moves, strategic restraint, and negotiation could prevent global disaster. But that window is shrinking day by day. The fear is real. Picture a world where every missile in the Middle East triggers consequences across continents. Supply chains freeze. Food prices skyrocket. Military alliances are tested. Ordinary lives are caught in the crossfire of superpowers. Nations prepare for worst-case scenarios, while citizens pray that miscalculation does not lead to unimaginable disaster. The tension is almost unbearable, and the uncertainty is absolute. But understanding is power. Knowledge of the strategies, the ambitions, and the stakes allows the world to navigate these turbulent waters. The Middle East is not just a battlefield. It is the pulse of global power. How it beats over the next decade could shape the future for every nation, every family, every life. The threat of global war is not science fiction. It is the reality of today's strategic environment. And while fear is natural, informed awareness is our shield. Leaders, analysts, and citizens alike must understand what is happening because the decisions made in the deserts of the Middle East today could echo across the globe tomorrow. The Middle East has always been more than a battlefield. It is a mosaic of history, faith, and ambition. Empires have risen and fallen here, leaving scars that remain visible in today's conflicts. Every city, every desert, every coastline tells a story of power struggles that stretch back centuries. And today, those stories are no longer confined to the region. They echo in Washington, Moscow, Beijing, and beyond. Let's look closer at the key players. Iran seeks influence across borders, projecting power through proxy networks and political alliances. Israel defends its territory with precision and unmatched military capability. Saudi Arabia balances ambition with survival, navigating rivalries that could escalate into regional war. Turkey, straddling east and west, maneuvers with historical pride and strategic calculation. And lurking in the background are the global superpowers. The United States, concerned with energy security and regional stability, often steps in with military and financial support. Russia, seeking to regain its influence, leverages both diplomacy and force. China, a rising global power, watches carefully, focused on long-term strategic advantage. Every action, every statement, is part of a larger chess game where the stakes are nothing less than global stability. Hidden strategies are the silent engine of this conflict. Proxy wars allow nations to fight without committing directly. Cyber operations disrupt, sabotage, and intimidate without a single soldier crossing a border. Information campaigns shape public perception and influence politics around the world. And while the media highlights explosions and headlines, the true warfare often happens in shadows, back rooms, encrypted networks, and secretive deals. Understanding these layers is critical because they are what could escalate a local war into a global confrontation. The world is a delicate balance. One miscalculation, a missile launched too far, an alliance misunderstood, a cyber attack misattributed, could trigger responses that no one wants, but everyone fears. Supply lines for energy, food, and weapons are tightly interwoven across continents. Economies are fragile and interconnected. Social unrest can spread across borders, and the psychological pressure on leaders is immense, as each decision carries potential consequences that ripple worldwide. So, what could happen next? From 2025 to 2035, multiple scenarios are possible. The first is escalation. A localized conflict grows, drawing in regional powers and eventually global superpowers, forcing a confrontation that the world has tried to avoid. The second is containment. Careful diplomacy, back-channel negotiations, and measured restraint keep the conflict regional, while alliances shift quietly behind the scenes. The third, and most frightening, is miscalculation. A small incident escalates into a chain reaction. Military responses trigger further aggression, and before anyone can step back, the world finds itself in a conflict with no clear front lines or predictable end. The emotional weight of this reality is immense. Imagine a world where cities brace for conflict, markets crash overnight, and ordinary families live under constant fear. The shadow of war becomes a daily companion. Yet, amid this fear, knowledge offers clarity. Understanding strategy, history, and human ambition is our defense against panic. Insight allows governments, analysts, and citizens to prepare, anticipate, and navigate uncertainty. History reminds us that wars are not inevitable, but they are possible. Decisions made in moments of tension can have consequences lasting decades. The Middle East is the focal point of these decisions, the stage on which global ambitions clash. And the coming years will test not only the strength of nations, but the wisdom of their leaders. The truth is stark. The next decade could reshape our world. Boundaries may shift, alliances will evolve, and the balance of power could tilt in unexpected ways. The Middle East is no longer a distant concern. It is the pulse of global strategy, a region where history, technology, and ambition collide. And every choice made here will resonate far beyond the deserts, across oceans, and into the lives of people worldwide. Every day, the tension grows. Skirmishes that once seemed distant now dominate headlines worldwide. Missile launches, border clashes, drone strikes, they are no longer isolated events. Each incident carries a weight far beyond the immediate damage. Every explosion, every cyber breach, every political threat sends ripples through global economies, energy markets, and military strategies. What used to be a regional problem is now a potential global crisis. The Middle East is a web of interlinked interests. Iran's influence stretches through proxy groups in multiple countries, extending its reach without firing a conventional shot. Israel's intelligence and precision capabilities create both deterrence and tension, keeping adversaries on edge. Saudi Arabia navigates alliances with careful precision, aware that miscalculation could invite disaster. Turkey, balancing ambition with diplomacy, watches every move with historical perspective. And outside this region, global superpowers weigh every engagement. The United States remains a constant presence, projecting power while attempting to manage allies. Russia tests boundaries and expands influence. China, patient and strategic, quietly positions itself for long term advantage, leveraging trade, investment, and diplomacy as weapons. Beneath the surface, unseen battles rage. Cyber warfare can disable infrastructure, sabotage communications, and strike fear without a single soldier on the ground. Information warfare shapes perceptions, turning allies into rivals and creating confusion in public opinion. Proxy forces fight in the shadows, their actions amplified by media, technology, and global networks. The real war often occurs in invisible spaces, yet its consequences are concrete and deadly. Why now? The combination of ideology, power, and technology has created a perfect storm. Political rivalries are fueled by centuries of history. Resource competition grows more intense as global demand shifts. Technology accelerates conflict, with drones, missiles, and cyber capabilities making rapid escalation possible. Social unrest, economic pressures, and internal politics add fuel to the fire. And in every capital, leaders face impossible choices: intervene and risk global war, or wait and risk losing influence. The potential outcomes over the next decade are both sobering and terrifying. Escalation could draw multiple regional powers into direct conflict, which may pull in global superpowers, igniting a worldwide confrontation. Containment is possible. Restraint, diplomacy, and careful negotiation could prevent catastrophe. Miscalculation is the most dangerous path. One small spark, one unintended consequence, could trigger a chain reaction that no nation could control. The clock is ticking. The choices made in the next few years will echo across decades. The human cost cannot be overstated. Imagine civilians caught between superpowers, cities under threat, supply lines disrupted, and millions displaced. Fear becomes routine. Children grow up in uncertainty. Societies face pressures unlike any seen before. And yet, knowledge and understanding are our greatest defense. Awareness of strategy, alliances, and hidden motivations allows nations and individuals to navigate the storm. Insight is the shield that can prevent panic, misjudgment, and chaos. History has shown that wars are not inevitable, but the risk grows when power, ambition, and technology collide. The Middle East is the crucible in which global strategy, ideology, and survival intersect. Every decision, every alliance, every misstep has consequences far beyond the region. And in the coming decade, the world will watch closely, knowing that the pulse of the Middle East may very well determine the fate of nations, economies, and millions of lives.